Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Education Platform. Now, before we begin with today's lesson, I'm going to be reading you a verse which is taken from Exodus chapter 20, verse 1. And it states that, "Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God give thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's." And all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings, the word of the Lord. Also, those were the 10 Commandments which God told Moses to give us. Now, as it's Black History Month, I'm going to be telling you about the black people who helped change America, so it can become a better state. Now, the first person I'm going to talk about is Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks was an African American woman who helped to end segregation during the early century bus boycott. When she refused to give her seat for white people, she was then arrested and then imprisoned for only a short time in the early years, also known as the early century. Then a law was passed that all white and black people should not be segregated. Now, the next person who I'm going to talk about is Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was a former slave in the United States who helped people to escape slavery by developing the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad helped thousands of people to escape slavery. And now last is the 3 founding fathers of America. The 3 founding fathers are George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin, also known as Ben Franklin. They signed the Declaration. They signed the Declaration so America wouldn't become a British colony. Now, our first lesson is about deforestation. Now, what we already know about deforestation is that deforestation is the activity that involves cutting down trees to make new land. Also, it's bad for the environment because the result of deforestation is that many animals' habitats will be destroyed, which many animals will not have any shelter or protection. So it's very important that we don't do deforestation by any animal's habitat, which the population of that animal or that species will become extinct. Now, our next lesson is about herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores, which is a review from last 2 months live stream. Now, what is a carnivore? A carnivore is an animal or an organism that eats meat but not plants. The types of carnivores are a dinosaur, which dinosaurs were extinct over 65 million years ago, a jaguar, which is part of the cat family, an actual cat, and a snake. Next are herbivores. A herbivore is an animal or organism that only eats plants. If the types of herbivores are goats or sheep. Now last is, what is an omnivore? Omnivores are animals or organisms that only eat meat and plants. Now, our third lesson is about designing a threaded bolt by using Onshape. Now, when designing a threaded bolt or creating a plan, you always have to go by using Onshape. Onshape is a designing software on the website helps you with engineering. Our fourth lesson is about Jesus' baptism. Now, what we know about Jesus' baptism. Baptism is the Christian practice at church where someone is sprinkled with water onto a person's forehead or of an immersion in water. Jesus' baptism happened in the Jordan River where John the Baptist baptized Jesus Christ by sprinkling him with water. And then, as you saw on the first slide, the Holy Spirit came and blessed Jesus Christ. Our fifth lesson is about World War II. Now, World War II happened after the Great Depression in the 1920s, where many Americans were less neutral, which give aid and goods to allies or other nations that maybe would go into war. But the cost of America going into war was Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor, and which America became less neutral, and which forced them to go into war. Now, next are the types of rays. The types of rays in the ocean. The types of rays are an electric torpedo ray, a stingray, and a manta ray. Firstly, the electric torpedo ray. It's the only type of ray that has a special part inside that makes electricity. They can only zap electricity when they're scared or when they eat. A manta ray is the type of ray that lives in the ocean, which they have creatures stuck to them called remora fish, so they can get a ride. And now the food manta rays eat is krill. Next are stingrays. A stingray is the type of ray that lives in the ocean that has a sting barber on the end of its tail, which can hurt like the dickens. And now, I'm going to be telling you about the Black Death, which is in context. The Black Death. Now, the Black Death was also referred as plague, which it was spread by bacteria called Yersinia pestis. Because the Black Death was easy to spread because of the bacteria spreading from person to person. Today, scientists understand that the Black Death, now known as the plague, is spread by Bacillus, also known as bacteria, called Yersinia pestis. The French biologist Alexandre Yersin discovered this germ at the end of the 19th century. They know of the Bacillus travels from person to person, pneumatically or through the air, as well as through the bite of the infected fleas and rats. Both of these pests could be found almost everywhere in medieval Europe, but they were particularly at home aboard ships and all kinds, which is how deadly plague made its way to the way through one European port city after another. Not long after it stuck to Menezisa, also in Italy, the Black Death spread to the port of Menzies by the middle of 1348 in France, and the port Tunis in North Africa. Then it reached Rome and Florence, two cities at the center of an elaborate web of trade routes. The Black Death had struck Paris, Bordeaux, Lyon, and London. Now, the cause of the Black Death is that when 12 ships from the Black Sea docked at the Cilician port of Messina.
The door you close.
That one?
Yes, this one.
This?
Now, our next lesson is about the Underground
I didn't
Railroad.
close it?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
The Underground Railroad was the system developed by Harriet Tubman to help slaves escape slavery. Next is Aboriginal art. Aboriginal art is the kind of art that is based on dot painting from black people more than 40,000 years ago. It started from Australia. Now, the types of dot paintings are shown below. Our next topic is about hibernation. Hibernation is a deep sleep where many animals sleep all through the winter until spring. The types of animals that hibernate are bears, dormice, hedgehogs, groundhogs, raccoons, possums, and bats. Fly south for the winter. Some birds fly south for the winter so they can stay warm during the cold season. Next are parts of the cell. Now there are two different types of cells. There's the plant cell and the animal cell. The parts of the cells are the cell wall, cell membrane, the cytoplasm, the mitochondria, and the nucleus. Now the difference between the animal cell and the plant cell is the shape and the parts. As shown, they are different shape and they have different structure. Now, I'm going to be reading you a story about the Genesis tenements. The first tenement, New York, bore the mark of Cain from its birth. Through a generation passed before the waiting was deciphered. It was the rare house, infamous ever after in our city's history. There had been tenant houses before, but they were not built for the purpose. Nothing would probably have shocked their original owners more than the idea of their harboring of promiscuous probably have their shocked crowd. For they have decorous homes of old Kinserbockers, the proud of aristocracy of Madan in the early days. It was the stir and bustle of trade, together with the tremendous immigration that followed upon the year of the War of 1812, that dislodged them. What could be the point of view? Well, the point of view is that in 35 years, the city of less than 100,000 came to harbor 500,000 souls, for whom homes had to be found within the memory of men not yet in their prime. Washington had moved from his house on Cherry Hill as too far out of town to be easily reached. Now the old residents followed his example, but they moved in a different direction and a different reason. Their comfortable dwellings in the once fashionable streets along the East Riverfront fell into the hands of a real estate agent and boarding house keepers. And here says the report to the legislator of 1857, when the evils engendered had excited just alarm. In its beginning, the tenant houses became a real blessing to the class of industrious poor whose small earnings limited their expenses, and whose employment in workshops, stores, or about the warehouses and thoroughfares render a near residence of much importance. Not for long, however. As business increased and the city grew with rapid strides, the necessities of the poor became the opportunity of their wealthier neighbors, and the stamp was set upon the old houses suddenly become valuable, which best thought effort for a later age has vainly struggled to efface. Now, our last lesson is the pronouns in Spanish. Now, the pronouns in Spanish, for singular pronouns in Spanish, él and ello means he, ella means she. In plural, ellos means he or
Yeah,
he's,
that's what I said.
ellas, he, she, or she's. Nosotros or nosotras means we. Vosotros or vosotras is they. Now the examples are: ella es el supermercado. She is at the supermarket. Él es el maestro en el clase. He is the teacher in the classroom. Nosotros somos jugadores el juego. We are playing the game. Now, if you want to learn more, you can go to our website, educationplatform.card.co, and press on the Learn More button. Also, to see our new videos, go to our channel page. We will be uploading every week. Now, everybody, keep safe, and have a wonderful day.
Oui, c'est